Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa McAllister, and you're listening to The Melissa Made Show. Now, for decades, I've dedicated myself to helping women break the cycle of dieting, navigate through all the fads, and change their lives through my nutrition coaching. Now, each week, I'm going to talk about everything from deep nutrition, mindset, self-care, the ideal workout routine, tips on how and why to implement intermittent fasting in your life, my favorite recipes that are not only crowd pleasers, but they're actually healthy for you, and so much more. Now, with small and consistent changes, you can defy aging while living a happier, healthier, and more heart-filled life. I'm so excited to show you it's possible with the right strategies that are so simple to adopt. All right, you guys stop the presses. Before you push play, I want to make sure that you listen to part 1 with Mr. Mike Karpenko before you listen to part 2. Now, him and I started talking. He knows that I'm the nutrition girl, and I know that he's the fitness guy. And we just talked about all things mindset, a little bit of nutrition, but a whole lot of fitness. So make sure that you listen to part 1 before you come back and listen to part 2, because both of them are extremely valuable and you're going to have a ton of takeaways. I hope you enjoy. Okay. Did I ask you? I asked you about rest. I mean, so do you have is once a week enough, or
once a week for what?
To rest? From
your workouts?
Yeah.
Okay. It's going to be subjective. If you're at the high end of you're new to fitness, I would say you're resting every other day.
Okay.
Right. Hey, listen, if you're just starting out, I need 3 days a week. I need 30 minutes of walking cardio. That's it. I need you to progress that to 60 minutes eventually. Then I need you to get you into strength training 4 days a week, 3 to 4 days a week. And then you progress that to 5 to 6, depending on your goals. I think that any time that you can get, I think 1 day off is great for the body. It is great. 2 days off is pretty darn good. And it shouldn't be something that you melt down. But if you go longer than 2, your body has rested. You have gotten out of your flow. You've gotten out of your momentum and your consistency, right? Mm-hmm. What happens is that the body repairs too much. And now you're no longer able to lift or to be at the same intensity that you were at when you left. So if you're more than 2 days off, you need to back off and go back to the week prior and start back over from there. Because everyone's like, oh, should I start back where I just left off? How many days off? 3 days, 4 days? You got to go back, because now you're putting yourself at a higher risk of rate because you've been resting too often.
Do you think you ever need to, I'm even going to equate it to fasting, every once in a while, getting out of just a 16-8, maybe doing a 24-hour fast, even bumping up to 48 or 36 hour, every once in a blue moon, doing a 4 or 5 day fast. Do you think on it, maybe when you're on vacation or it's during the holidays, do you think that it's beneficial to the body to have a longer rest period every once in a blue moon?
100%. I would say it's my pet peeve. I despise people that want to work out on vacation. Okay. I want them to drown in the pool. I do. I don't think any hotel should offer up a gym. It's vacation. It's your time. We're in this stage of happiness and mental, clarity and mental health. Stop working out on vacation. You've got high value. You're a high value person. You're a wonderful person. You're great. You're on vacation. You're spending your hard earned money to enjoy a place that you normally are not at. Why are you in a place that you're at every day?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Why? I get it. You have done all this work. I'm not saying go be a gluttony, in the pool and be just throwing down. No. What I'm saying is that hour that everyone's like, oh, I need it, so I feel better. You know what you need? You need another hour with your spouse. You need another hour with your kids. You need another hour in the sunshine. You need to go for a walk and enjoy this beautiful place that you are at. You need to sit by the pool. You need to relax in your bed. You need to have coffee on your balcony. You don't need to work out in your vacation. You don't. You're not going to turn flabby. You're not going to go overweight. You're not going to develop poor, bad habits. Enjoy yourself. Do not work out with me on vacation. I don't want to do it. I don't.
And you guys have to understand, I'm sitting here in my mind justifying why I do it, and my justification.
You look great, Melissa. You're awesome. You're having fun. I'd rather spend time with you. I don't want to work out with you.
Mick and I like vacation there for a good 6-7 years. We're vacationing like every month, maybe every 2 months. And so that's different than people who have.
You're a 2%er. Stop. Most people are not going on vacation, but once, twice, 3 times a year.
Yeah. That's why I've justified it in my mind.
Like life is about, dare I say this, making moments. But reality is that it's a great vacation. It's a beautiful place. You've spent your hard-earned money. Enjoy your life and enjoy the place. Like take it in, talk with a local, go to, why do you, I'll tell you what, you want to get my attention, anybody, I would rather, being the single guy I am, I'll take a coffee date in town at a local place where we walk in and we hang out and go into the gym with you. Like just stop now. So that's what I would say is, go and just get to walk in, get a coffee, go for a walk. How many times do we go for a walk and not work out in Mexico? How many, Melissa?
Yeah, most.
Yeah. What else you got?
Okay. So does time of day matter in your workout?
Again, a workout not done as a workout is your worst workout. I would say the best time of day, if we're going to just, chop it up, the best time of day is about 11 o'clock because your body's already warmed up. You're already moving around. You've been able to get to a point. You're focused. If you're eating breakfast and not IF, intermittent fasting, you're at that point and you're like, let's do it. But if your schedule dictates that you need to work out in the morning, great. If your schedule dictates, if you are getting stressed over what time you are working out, we need to talk about all the other details in your life.
Okay.
Just work out.
Okay.
So that would be but the best time is when the body's warmed up. Okay.
And which wasn't one of my questions, but I know you're very big into it's not something I do and something I should probably study a little bit more, but like the activation, the importance of, it's a specific warm up where you're activating certain muscle groups. Can you, for the beginner, which when it comes to this, I am a beginner. I kind of half-assed my way through the warm up and I'm terrible at stretching at the end. Don't yell at me, Mike, but I know it's important. And maybe it's one of the main reasons why I can't get the glutes to grow like I want them to is because I'm not doing these activation exercises, but they are trendy right now. But I know they've been in the fitness industry for a long time. What are these things?
In general, activation, it does work to a point, right? It's great. Warm-ups are great because you want to have the muscle warmed up and able to move it, right? You don't want your first set as your warm-up set. You want it to be a working set. So that's the first thing that we want to talk about is you don't want to warm up on your first set. You've wasted it. You're trying to grow muscle. So that's number one. Number two, do I want to use specific warm-ups on specific days? 100%. There's no reason I want to, do lunges and squats on chest and back day. Yeah. Will it pump the blood? Yeah, but I'd rather use that time because time is very important to everybody right now. I would rather use that time on stretching, the pecs out. I'd rather use that time on stretching the shoulder out, thoracic mobility, so that I can get into a position. And that consistency develops momentum, which develops results. So the warm up where you're like, oh, I don't want to do that thoracic warm up. Well, I'm sitting in a chair right now. Well, I got to be able to open myself up so that I sit more like this, right? Like what if I did thoracic 3 days a week? Well, that's going to open me up. So it's that kind of thing. But do I think I think we're talking about glute activation. Glute activation's cute, and I think it works. But I think you should do it. I warm up before my walk. I'll tell you that when I was doing my glute activations before my walks were powerful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I became posterior, which means backside rather than front side. So if my backside is not warmed up, guess what happens? Something's got to support my hips. What does? my thighs turn on.
Quads.
Now I become quad dominant. So do I think it works? Yeah. Do I think people should warm up? 100%. Do I think it should be targeted? Yep. And so what if you do a squat on a chest day? I mean, it's going to warm the body up. The heart's going to move. You're going to feel good about it. I think your warm-ups, depending on your time, can go anywhere from the lowest end, 2 minutes, the lowest end. I think you're kind of robbing yourselves on that, but I think it's like 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
You know, and I know that, but again, it's in the details, right? 40% people that have 40% body fat, what do you need a warm up for? Go walk.
Yeah.
You don't need a glue activation. Go walk.
Yeah.
You know, as you get to 18 that you want to get to 13%, guess what you're going to have to do? The details are going to take over.
Yeah. So speaking of details, most people don't know, because you are incredibly humble. All of your work behind the scenes of a lot of very successful fitness programs, very successful. And it's funny because like I was doing one not long ago, and it was a mutual friend of ours that I'm just like, gosh, I really like it. You know, I might have to mute the guy, but I really like it. And our mutual friend is like, you know, Mike pretty much wrote that program. I'm like, makes sense. The point is what I really enjoyed about it, because I'm one of those people that get bored easy, is the change in the way that you're switching from one exercise to the next. You're doing supersets, you're doing drop sets. Just there's such a wide variety, and I'm busy, and I like that. I really like the sense of that constant motion, the busyness, the change. And you talked about, you know, your first 6 weeks of, you know, for all of my ladies listening, you know, you're really just starting to get into your fitness, really dedicated to it. The first 6 weeks are doing what you said about just really the body awareness and all of that stuff, and making sure that you've got great form and stuff. And then you've got that second, which is more strength-based. When you get into these fancy terms of drop sets and supersets, and there's a lot more terms that I'm not aware of, is that second phase, or would you consider that like third phase? Like you are really going for a chiseled look or a complete revamp?
You know, I think it's second to third. It just depends on where you're at. I think that, you know, drop sets, supersets, giant sets, you know, triple sets, all those things are, you know, it's basically muscles under stress. And just so everybody knows, those great terms, right, is how your body is placed underneath stress. Supersets means your body is placed under stress, 2 exercises back to back, longer period of time, more stress. Triple sets, 3 exercises, your body is now placed under stress for 3 exercises. Giant sets, your body is now placed under sets for that. When you get into drop sets, you get into volume. Okay. Right. It's like, oh, am I able? And you're like, all right, well, I'm going to do, you know, 100 pounds for 10 reps. Then I'm going to do 100 pounds, you know, for 8 reps. And you look at how many sets you're going to be able to do. It's really a volume thing. When you're moving more volume, it's great, but you have to ask yourself, what is your intensity during your volume? I'll keep saying that because everyone's like volume. And it's like, no, what's your intensity with your volume? Because if you're taking 5-minute breaks between your exercises, all great, but the intensity is not there. So you're not going to burn as much fat.
Yeah.
So I would say like there's a relationship for there. And is the second level? Yes. First level is more about frequency and endurance. You know, it's like, hey, I'm going to do one exercise and I'm going to do it all. And then I'm going to do maybe the next exercise and do it all. And I'm going to do it for time. You know, I'm going to do high reps. That second is like, okay, we're going to do some supersets. We're going to put the body under stress more often. But yeah, I would say, I definitely want to say this. It's like, I knew I was going to get that question about ghost writing and talking about, you know, writing things behind the scenes. It's a very difficult thing. It's not as easy as one would say. So when I wrote Tap Out, which was one of the programs that I was the face of, right? Years ago. So let me just say that I don't live in yesterday. Years ago, I was proposed with the question of this: do you want to make the greatest program ever that maybe one person uses? Or do you want to make a program that many people use and many people get off the couch and many people get fit? that develop. And in my mind, it was develop consistency, right? So as a trainer, you're dealing with 3 people, maybe even 4, right? You're like, I think that this is the best program ever. And they're like, that's cute. Our customers aren't going to like it. And you got somebody at the top that's saying, it's not what I wanted. And you're like, well, you don't work in fitness. So there's this push pull, and then you got somebody who's shooting it going, well, that move doesn't translate on camera and it's not good. And you're like, ugh. And then you got a customer, because you got a group that's trying it out, being like, I don't really even like that move. And like, why do we got to do this workout again? And why? I'm not showing up if we're going to do this over and over and over. It's such a can of soup in order to produce. And you've got all the haters that are out there. They're like, I would never have written it that way. And I never would have done it that way. And I can't believe that's not science. And that's not this. And how would you do that? And you're like, well, it's because I had to consider all these things.
Variables, yeah.
That went into creating an in-home fitness program. So when you see it, getting back to what you asked, is drop sets, is supersets, is giant sets. It's part of the equation of making sure that people aren't bored at home and that they're moving, because most of the people at home really just need to move and create muscle. And if you wanted a particular butt program, well, there are people out there that will give you a program exactly for your butt, that are experts, that are going to teach you exactly, or whatever it may be, right? Like same with nutrition, like a lot of people just cut back, or you could go see Melissa and you could be like, hey, I need the right supplements. I need high quality supplements. I need something that I feel that is specific to my needs and my goals, not a mass produced nutrition plan that fits for everybody.
Wow.
And that's what a lot of people are like, oh, well, I got this nutrition program that was, $30 online. And you're like, cool, let me know how it works, right? It may work in the beginning, and then it's like, it doesn't work. And you're like, well, you need one that's more specific. Do you know how much that costs? Yeah, $400. And they're like, what do you mean? Well, they got to do an assessment. They got to do this. They got to sit with you. They got an hour of their time. Then they got to write what you need. Then they got to show you this. And then they got to bring this. And then they got to coach you through it.
Yeah.
And when you start to look at it that way, it's like, okay, well, you have more detailed needs as you go through the process of your ongoing health management.
Yeah. Okay. So I have, as we were talking about, all of the different types of lifting, something popped in my mind, keeping in mind that I was body pump certified, and I taught body pump for a while. And it's just your opinion, and there's no right or wrong, but what are your thoughts on programming like body pump? Because it is very,
well, first off, I think body pump is pretty cool. I mean, it's Les Mills. Les Mills is a very accredited, smart organization that has a lot of people with knowledge behind it. So there's no way that that's not an intelligently based program. And remember I would have to look into their mission statement and their goal, but I'm guessing their goal is to help people get fit, to get people to move, to have fun,
enjoy
to love
it.
music, and to live a healthy life.
Yeah.
Does body pump do that? Sure. And as well as I do, in a group exercise class, it's the hardest thing if you're a personal trainer.
Yeah.
30 people in a group exercise class are 30 people doing different things with 30 different needs.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so body pump, like, it's a group exercise program. It's not a personal training program or strength conditioning program. So when I look at that, does it do its job? 100%. Is it awesome? 100%. I've never had the chance to really dig into their programming, but I would be darn surprised that it didn't make sense in push pull and, upper lower and, combining cardio and weights. I would be hard pressed knowing how long they've been in business and what they do, that they're not, exceptional. And if that's your jam, and if you got to get off again, if that's your jam, get off go.
Yeah.
Why would I be a hater on, again, like my brand Fit Identity? Why would I be a hater on your identity and your fitness? Why? Go do your thing.
Love that. So, I've never asked you this before. Do you being the trainer that you are, do you create one-on-one programs at this point?
Oh man, I do and I don't. You know what I mean? I usually create it for somebody that I am sympathetic, empathetic, someone who's really struggling, and someone that's my friend. I mean, I haven't charged in so long to create a program for somebody that is, I created Frequency, which is, it's my baby right now. Like since I had ankle surgery, I came out of it and I started doing this. I'm like, what can I do? And I created this thing called Frequency. And, it's just every muscle every day with concentrations on certain muscles and activation on others. That so every day you're doing total body. But I don't anymore. It's hard. And here's the hardest part about me in training. I'm going to give you something I don't really talk about much. When I was personally training, I would only take people that had specific goals, like, like getting ready for a movie or getting ready for, for a season, like specific goals. I really was never that person that was like trained for the sake of training. Work out for, I just didn't want to show, because I felt like you were just showing up to show up. You could pay somebody way less than pay me.
Yeah.
So I would be like, oh, I get it. You want me to train you because I'm like the cool guy that trains this guy or this girl. And I was like, so I didn't do it. And I'm going to be honest. And I want your listeners to hear this because I get to say it and you don't get to say it. It's really difficult, our industry, because we are givers.
Yeah.
And we give to help you. And when you don't follow through on it, we want to waterboard you. It's the truth, because we really put our time and effort into making something for you.
Yeah.
That we feel that would help you, because you want goals and you came to us and we're there and we're like, I want to help you. If I just made things to make things, I would feel transactional. And that has never been me. I was once posed a question in a giant meeting that was like, what do you think people want in life? Do they want money or do they want results? I said results. The other person I was up against said money. I personally think I've helped a lot of people get results. That other person made a lot of money, and it was to a CEO, and I still stay. It's just who I am. So when I look at this whole idea of, do I make programs anymore? I don't know. Part of me wants to make them. I put out a 3-day. There's a 3-day beginner program that I have that if you go to my Instagram, you can go and you can download it or you can message me. It's a very repeatable 6-week program that progresses in week 3 and in week 5, like I've discussed, which is great for anybody starting out that is past the walking stage, that is in the, movement phase of endurance kind of strength and just in strength phase rather than, I need to, rep it out. It's a body weight program. So it's really kind of cool.
Yeah. Awesome. And
then maybe someday at Frequency. Let's see. Do you have another question?
I do. I have one more for you. That is, I think it's women have stopped necessarily asking so much because they're told they can't, but I still think in their heart of hearts, they think it's possible. And it's questions like that they want to ask, or they want to find results from, how do I reduce my cellulite? How do I, get rid of the saddlebags? How do I, lose, some of the belly fat? Pretty much spot reducing or, really working specific areas. Mick and I were talking about this yesterday, that the women's physique, decade after decade changes. You've got, I don't know if anybody is watching the American Gladiators documentary. It's fascinating, but all the women, were really, that was the 90s, the 80s and 90s, where women were very, very built and very strong. And we've had, women that were softer. We've had women that, were more like the Pamela Anderson. And then we're more like the Rio de Janeiro look, where the booty's big and the upper body's small. And so I know that women are always like, I'm trying to attain what's in the eyes of the beholder right now beautiful. Is there a way to shape shift your body, by diet and exercise, or do you just have to succumb to the fact that you're going to look like who you are?
It's a loaded question. It is, right? Like it is a loaded question. And I think it's a personal answer. right? I can't control genetics.
Mhm.
You know, you can't, like certain genetics are certain genetics. I think it's, having an honest conversation with yourself of what you need to be able to do to be able to get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
I think it's becoming okay with your goals and regardless of what other people think, right? Like I really think that if you're comfortable being a certain body type and style, go with it. I don't care. But I also think, blood work, health, and diet are a giant piece of it. I don't advocate poor diets. I don't advocate poor blood work. I don't advocate, I want people to live as long as they possibly can, as happy as they possibly can.
Amen.
I think that that's something that I want. And I think that when people in my head, and again, I could be being unfair in my head, when somebody who has an extremely high body fat is not living their best life and is suffering in silence, I think that's a hard place to be. And, I don't like, and it's not society's fault. It's where they're at with what they want and their goals. And I don't think you should suffer in silence. I think you should work on it in public.
Mm.
I think that that's a big piece to what I want people to understand. And
Are you ready to learn the secret behind how I continue to be so healthy? Well, it all comes down to science. If you've been listening to my show for a while now, you may have heard me mention something called the MAID diet. Yes, that's right, because I'm so passionate about how learning about the effects that nutrition has on the human body, I always seek to learn as much as I can and apply that knowledge. One of my best learning tools has been self-experimentation. And now in my late 40s, I have to say, I've done a pretty good job. It's hard to find trustworthy, even accurate information in this country. Between the influence of big corporations with monetary agendas, the nutrition labels designed to deceive, and downright misleading information that you were taught in school, navigating food and nutrition with your optimum health in mind can be quite challenging. Take the food pyramid, for example. In an ideal world, I'm sure we would all love to eat pasta and baguettes for every meal, but that's simply not what's best for our bodies, our health, and our longevity. Now, I spent years developing the MAID diet in a way that I wish someone had taught me, and I break it all down in my MAID diet course. People are always asking me what I eat, so we start there. What I eat in a day and which foods are the most beneficial. So think something in between the Mediterranean and the paleo diet. It's a lifestyle plan that incorporates moderate protein, adequate fat, decreased carbs, and an introduction to intermittent fasting. But please, I want you to keep in mind, just because I say decrease carbs, I don't mean decrease carbs in what your body needs. I just mean decrease carbs in what the standard American diet has become. You still get plenty of quality carbohydrates, just not in the mass amounts we have been eating to get us into such an unhealthy state. And of course, we're going to talk about what foods to avoid because that's just as important. We even talk about how to eat healthy on the go because let's face it, we're busy and that's just life. And then there's intermittent fasting. I share all of my favorite tips and tricks, and a lot of science are along the way. I could not say enough good things about intermittent fasting, and I'm honestly so surprised more people are doing it. You'll also learn how I've learned to balance my hormones and feel my best because so many women struggle with this. And lastly, we cover the mindset behind making a change because we all know that your mindset is the key to your success in anything that you do. So if you are struggling with diet in terms of feeling your best or you are ready to take your health to the next level, I strongly recommend you check out this course. Now, the course is structured in 5 modules, 16 lessons, and a whole lot of research to back everything up. So I want you to visit my website, themaiddiet.com or melissamaid.com, and you will see a tab for the course. Click on that to get access today and learn why you should be eating this way too.
I think that if you're suffering in silence, you have to understand that people want you around. People need you around, that people need you to be healthy. People don't need you to live your best life till you're 40. Such a selfish statement to freaking say. Yeah. But people are like, no, I'm good, man. I'm going to do whatever I want to do, and, my online clout drives my whole life. And it's like, What happens if you pass away at 60 or 40 because you had kids? You're like, no, I had kids and, I'm living the best life and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And you're like, your kids need grandpa. Your kids need someone to tell their kids stories. Your kids need someone to hold standards, right? And I think that that's what it comes down to is, one of my mantras will always be this: create a standard, your standard, hold
Your
it
standard.
and evolve it, right? Like hold and evolve your standard. I think society's standard is average. I refuse to be average. If you want to be average, I'm cool. I refuse to be society's average. That's number one. Number two, change your beliefs. Like people need you have new beliefs, right? Like the reason why you are where you are is because you use the words I should, I could, I suppose, maybe, I'll do it tomorrow, rather than I will, I do, and I must. It is what it is. Like, but most people want to backdoor themselves out of that. Pain, pleasure. And then the last one is, action. What actions are you taking based on where you are at to get to the goals that you want to be able to get to? And where you're at depends on how detailed you need to be to get to the goals that you are at. But I refuse, again, to lower my standards so that I don't get ahead in life with my health and fitness. It doesn't mean I want to be 4% body fat. But when I gained my 10 pounds, which I have on me now, that was me lowering my standard. I grabbed a hold of it, and I'm now in that process of saying, I refuse to be that person. I refuse to be like, everyone in my life has gained weight. Everyone in my life is moving less. Everyone in my life is accepting that being heavier is now the new health. Average. Not happening. So getting back to that whole idea of, and I know I've talked for so long, but getting back to that whole idea of spot reducing, can't do it, but your symbiotic brother-sister relationship needs to exist in order to decrease inflammation, increase muscle, so that you can then look or feel a certain way or both that you want to be able to do. You can't do with one without the other. But can you change the way that you look because of the way that you train? In some ways, yeah. Like saddlebags, get a better butt. I did this to a supermodel, no lie. I can tell you who I did it to. She stood in front of a mirror and I said, don't smack me. And she said to me, she's like, what are you going to do? And I kneel down behind her and I grabbed her butt just like this. And I pushed it up. And her legs went from this to this. And I said, do you see what happened? Your butt fell. And look at my elbows. Your butt fell. Your saddlebags happened. Your butt went up. Your saddlebags disappeared.
Right.
So when you start looking at working on and becoming more detailed with the things that you want to change, and can you get bigger shoulders? Yep. Can you get a bigger butt? Yup. But do you got to eat more? Yup. Got to feed that shoulder. Got to feed that butt. Got to feed it. Right. So can you spot reduce? No. Can you fix things in your physique in general? Yeah. Because I mean, look, how many guys do you see out there with big upper body and no lower body?
A lot.
Train them legs, bro.
Yeah.
Bro. Don't skip leg day. Right.
Yeah.
And then I would say this too. I think like I did a big podcast on this and I talked about it, and I definitely want to say this so that people can get this. I know that they struggle with food. I know that the food is the hardest thing because they're like, oh, it's 23 hours a day that I got to worry about my food. You don't have no idea what I want. And I'm like, I get it. You're not in enough pain. You hide it with big baggy clothes. I get it. Here's what I say. If you start looking at your TED, your total or TDE, your total daily expenditure, right? I'll tell you what, you, the nutritionist, I'm ready to have this battle with you. If you look at your total daily expenditure and it comes out to be 3,000, which I think everyone's total daily expenditure has dropped in their caloric burn, has dropped 30%, bare minimum. If you look at everyone's total daily expenditure, and if you look at a person and they go, what are you burning in a day? People are like, I don't know. You're like, okay, well, let's do it. And you said, I still want you to eat 2,000 calories a day. And you're like, well, that seems so much for me. Well, it's because you're not burning 2,000 calories a day.
Oh,
Because you're not moving to. If you burn 3,000 calories in a day, and I know everyone's going to go, oh my God, it's a high number, Mike, why are you saying 3? I'm using it as an example. Everyone sit down.
listen.
But if you burn 3,000 calories in a day, do you think it really matters what you're eating? Like in general, do you really think it matters? That final example will be Google Michael Phelps diet in the Olympics. Google it, 12,000 calories. And it looks like a fast food nightmare on a table.
Ugh.
Olympian, ripped, shredded, unbelievable, focused.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you guys are like, well, look at he's a mental mess and he had all these problems. Blah. No, he had a goal in mind and he did what he did. So that's what I'd say is like, look at your daily expenditure, and if you're really struggling with your food and being able to eat it, find ways to move more.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. And in fact, Mike, I don't know if you've read one of Sachin Panda's books. His circadian rhythm book is phenomenal. He's, Dr.
Very brilliant.
Yes,
Very brilliant.
yes. And he is very adamant in his book saying it really doesn't matter. So in this, there's a part of me that there's a caveat to that, but it doesn't matter, so much what you eat, but when you eat and how much you eat, that to him is the reason that we're kind of in the crisis we are today, because we don't move, because, we're eating.
Binge.
Yeah. We
binge.
We don't move enough. Yeah.
Right. What we do is we binge sit and then we binge eat.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
people are like, well, no, I graze. And you're like, nah, you probably eat one giant meal. And yeah, you do graze, but you binge. That's what we like to do. We're all in or all out.
100%.
Tends to be the issue. But any other quick questions you want to ask me?
Yeah, I thought real quick, because you always share with me some really fascinating people. In fact, a few people I've had on the show are because of you. Who do you look up to? Who do you see as mentors?
Mentors. Oddly enough, I've never had anyone mentor me. Ever. But maybe it's because I've never asked anyone. So fairness.
Yeah.
Okay? Fairness. I've never had anyone be like, take me underneath your wing. I got you. Let me give you the plan. Let me mentor you. Like I have fumbled my way to where I'm at because of action.
Yeah.
But who would I look up to as far as somebody that is, it's odd because I look up to a lot of my friends. I look up to people that I can actually have a conversation and dialect with. So they're very special to me, the ones that are close. But if I had to look and think about like the people that I really changed me as a trainer and whatnot, number one, it would be Carl Pauly. Like he wrote this book called Freestyle. He really taught me how to block out movement patterns. And he never told me. I literally went down a hole. Carl Pauly, it was an ex-gymnast, and then he became a CrossFitter. And he, in a world of CrossFit, taught me how to block out movement patterns.
Wow.
Like I went into this thing called gymnasticswad.com. It was way back in the day. And then he turned it into Freestyle. And he broke down how to do a push-up, how to do a pull-up, like all the basic movement patterns of how to. And I was like literally my brain was blown away. And then I think he started some sort of I think he does some sort of online coaching now or something at a bigger level. But Carl has a mind. He's untapped potential. I swear, like the man should be like a high level consultant for corporations. Should be. So Carl Pauly, I think it's Paoli, something like that. Paoli, Carl Pauly. He's one. Kelly Starrett, as far as movement. I think I've read every one of Kelly Starrett's books. He was Mobility WOD. I went to several of his seminars. He was like everything, like another guy that was like ahead of his time. I was using bands, balls, active recovery, all because of Kelly, way before everybody else.
Back in the day, yeah.
They were like, oh, what are these weird peanuts, these weird balls that you tape together? So Kelly, and I think he's got I forgot what, something to move right now. It's a big book that I think people I read it, listened to it. It's he and his wife, Julie, are phenomenal. Who else do I think I look up to? Inspirationally, I mean, I think somebody like Cameron Haynes, David Goggins, those guys, you know, David Goggins says 0, you know, not because like he's mean or, you know, he swears. It's because he does it all on his own.
Yeah.
David Goggins isn't asking anyone for help. That's why I love David. And he's just like in your face. And then I you know, this is going to sound weird. Oh, as far as nutrition, I love nutrition stripped.
Yes. Yes. You mentioned that.
I love like the woman is amazing. Like you want to talk about balanced eating. You want to talk about like real, true growth of community and an idea and a vision and clarity and never being infiltrated. You know, I mean, I know she went through some things in college and that's what brought on her love for nutrition. She helped me when I went vegan. You know, because I did that for 2 years. That was a road. So, but if she's unreal.
Yeah.
Like, I will tell you, I think she's one of the best, you know, obviously I mean, I turn to you for all my nutrition. I do, you know, I turn to you for all of my nutrition. I think anyone who doesn't use that, and I think your price point is actually extremely affordable when I put it together, you know, it's like, oh my God, you can get an assessment, you can get this, and you know, but people, again, put it to work.
Yeah.
Stop it. Like,
be patient.
You know, I made this comment the other day, and I mean, I don't mean to keep it, you know, take so much time. You probably have to cut this into 2 podcasts. Givers have buckets just like you, right? Givers and takers. Takers' buckets are usually full. You know, it's overflowing, and that's why they can't take what a giver gives.
Yeah. And
a giver's bucket, what happens with them is they'll empty it. And at the bottom of a bucket is a hard surface. It's not it's not a sponge, you know, it's a hard surface. And when they're empty, they become moody, they become snappy, they become exhausted. And if you are a giver and you're starting to notice that, that's what's happening. Your bucket's empty. And what's happening is that you're reaching into it and it's bouncing off the bottom, and it's either punching you in the face or it's literally bouncing off the bottom and hitting the person in the face that you want to give to, or the people that you care about, because your bucket's empty.
Yeah.
And you got to go and you got to refuel it, which means you got to start to put some self-love. You got to, you know, pay attention to you and what you need, create boundaries, do all the things that you need to be able to do so your bucket becomes full so you can continue to be a giver.
Yeah. That's what makes you feel good to a point.
Yeah. And, you know, and ultimately I will kind of wrap and say this, like I brought up the symbiotic relationship between fitness and, you know, and nutrition. It's ingredients in the meal we call health. Those are 2 ingredients. And then you got mental health, and everyone's like, oh, mental health, we got to feel good. It's an ingredient. It's not the thing. And if it was flour in your chocolate chip cookie right now, your cookies would taste like crap.
Yeah.
They would.
Yep.
Like, you'd have too much flour. So guess what, people? You're going to have to start to put some stress into your life, some stressors on your workouts, some stressors in your plan of your nutrition, and you have to increase your intensity, which is your stressors, to get the results that you want in the ingredient. Because if a meal tastes bad, right? When was the last time you re-ate a meal that tastes bad? And when I look at health and fitness, and I look at the 2 of us and the way that we are in life, like, the last thing either one of us want to do is watch somebody walk away from health and fitness, be overwhelmed by health and fitness, be overwhelmed by their nutrition, not try and be healthy, not try and live as long as they possibly can, continue to sit on the couch, be overwhelmed, be unhappy. I need you to eat.
Yeah.
I need you to eat the meal called health.
That's a great way to wrap it up. And I had so many takeaways at the parallel, obviously, of, because you and I get together and our conversations, I think, are so great, because we do bring 2 things to the table that are super important. And we both really care about people's mental health as well. And we believe in community, and we believe in having fun. We believe in rest. So all of those things do create that recipe. And I love that you, of course, used a cookie, because if you know Mike, you know he loves cookies and pizza. Love. Which we had Taylor's cookies last night. They were wonderful.
Why you gotta brag like that? Why you gotta do that? That's like mean. That hurt my mental health.
People were just doting over them, and I just thought about you the whole time. Anyway, so Mike, can you share with my audience where they can find you. I mean, obviously,
At Mike Karpenko.
yeah.
Instagram. I mean, I'm really good with my Instagram. It tends to be
Yeah, you
my
are.
normal thing, like Facebook, I stay off of Facebook, most of you guys, because everyone's angry over there. They want to write a blog. But I'm there. I am there. And if you do message me, but if you really want a response,
Yeah.
on that.
And you also have a
Instagram.
podcast. Remind
Oh, yeah.
people the name of your podcast.
Fit Identity. Like, so that's my whole thing, man, is like, you can see it kind of behind me.
Yeah.
Think, eat, move. It's all about kind of bringing those together in a cohesive, symbiotic relationship that you can't think well if you're not eating well, if you're not moving well, and vice versa with all that. So I kind of talk about things in my life. I talk about just everyone has a different identity, right? And
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. Like, live your identity, but don't forget to think, eat, and move throughout your life. And I just believe that, you can change that identity through the patterns that you have in your life to create the person that you want. You can create anything that you want.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea of fit identity. It's not politically, it's not in any, it's about your health and fitness. So my podcast, at Mike Karpenko. I'm trying to think, don't come to my house. Well, for the next podcast, we'll talk about my stalker story. That's what we can say. But you know what I was thinking while we're doing this, like, before we wrap up, maybe what we could do is a rapid fire, quick answer. You just put it out there and be like, what do you want to know from Mike about fitness? Just go bam. And I just go right straight through it, and we'll just be like, bam, bam, like take an hour and dedicate, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I would love that, because that is, at the very top, of course it's I need a healthier mindset. I need more control. I need better nutrition. I need to incorporate more fitness. I mean, those are the staples that I get every single day. And I need to reach out to my good friend, Mike, who is the smartest man I know in the fitness industry, and ask him. I thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know a lot of people, and it's funny. I wanted to share that when I first met you, I wasn't sure about you, because you were known as, the fitness guy. Anybody who, was in the fitness space knew that, you've done some big things, you've worked with some big people, and I just expected this huge ego. And so I was kind of guarded, and darn it, I got to know you, and I'm like, God, you're the nicest guy on the planet. I mean, you're so authentic and you're so caring. And if you don't, if I just said that and you're like, really, Mike? Absolutely. I mean, he's a tough guy, and he'll say what most people won't, because he cares about you. But once you understand that everything that he says to you is out of love, then you really, really, truly appreciate that. So that's why I wanted to have you on here to help my women that, it's just like nutrition. I'm here to tell you nutrition can be very simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Mike's here to tell you fitness is the same way. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Number one, stay consistent, do the things that you need to do, and be patient. And you're going to see trackable changes in how you look and how you feel, and you'll live your best life.
I would say this because I know you have a lot of people do follow along workouts. I'm going to give you your number one best tip for a follow along workout that a lot of people, you guys are doing. Like, look how long your program is. And at week 3 or whatever, like when you start to do things, add a set, add 2 more reps. Take a day, take a week where you just say, I'm going to add 2 more reps to everything that I do.
Love that.
Or I'm going to add 10 more seconds to everything that I do.
Yeah.
And understand that it's different, but you're going to progress that. And that's really what's going to help you. So I would just say that when I follow along, be like, oh, instead of doing 3 sets, I'm going to do a 4 set this week. So that would be my follow along.
And we could talk for 5 hours, but even these, like with body, these super blocks that are 3 weeks, you could repeat that same super block, right? Because you're starting again, but like you said, instead of doing the exact same thing, do each move a little bit longer, or add a couple sets. I never thought to do that.
I think that each super block actually, this is going to be the hidden thing. This is what I'm going to get slapped for. I'm just going to say it, you guys. I think the super blocks are great to show up for. I think they're great for workouts, but if you want something that's progressionable, then I think you need to look at the programs, number one. Number two, if you love the super block format, I would just do the same week over and over and over, and I would progress that week.
Okay.
Because their second week and their third week, they're going to hate me for saying this, have no relationship to their first week or their second or their third. There is no relation. It's not like, oh yeah, we're doing lunges again. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Love them.
Yeah.
But, if you're looking for training results and you're like, oh, I love this style, or you love a workout and you're like, I need an upper in my week, I need a lower in my week, I need a push pull, I need a legs, and I need a cardio, right?
Right.
You could pick your favorite cardio, pick your favorite lower, you could probably do that and be like, for 6 weeks, I'm going to do it and I'm going to progress it.
Love. Makes so much sense.
There's your secret. Like, then you're training per se and not working out. A little more boredom, but you're training because now you're looking at going, I'm just going to continue to do this over and over and over. And then I'm going to progress it.
Did you guys hear that? You're training, not working out. That is
a difference.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with either. Let's make sure that we just say there's nothing wrong with either, but
what's your goal?
Leaving on this, as we move from 40% down to 4%, the details change.
Yeah.
Right?
Huh. Yeah.
So don't overwhelm yourself in the details.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're at.
That was a great way to wrap it up. Full circle right there. All right, Mike, love you to pieces. You know that. And I really appreciate you being on here. And I definitely will make this 2 separate podcasts because it's got a lot of information in it. And I know it's going to be listened to many, many times for the nuggets. So thank you so much, sir. And I hope we'll talk probably in just a couple minutes, and hopefully I get to see you soon. And as you guys always know, I like to end the podcast with saying that I hope you wake up feeling prepared, and I hope you go to bed feeling proud. Have a great day.
Wow, we've reached the end. But before I leave you, I'd love to hear from you. After all, it's not every day that someone reaches out and asks for your opinion. And to me, your opinion does matter. So please share this episode with anyone that you think needs to hear this message. And remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. My name is Melissa McAllister. And until next time, thank you for being your own health advocate.